Hi, this is Rex Ryan of the world champion Baltimore Ravens. I coach the defensive line. The video that we're about to do is on playing defensive line techniques to stop the run out of seven-man fronts, specifically the under front and the over front. With me is Joe Douglas out of our personnel department, and he has graciously volunteered to help us with this. As you can see, we've got drawn up an over front and an under front where most people in the country are using seven-man fronts. What we're going to talk about first is how to play the shade. And I don't care if you're shaded on the guard or on the center, in an over front or an under front, they're all going to be played the exact same. So what we're going to talk about now in great detail is how to play a shade, what people call a three technique, a one technique, whatever you want to call it. Anytime you're shaded, we're going to talk about playing those techniques. What I've drawn up is a reach block. And when playing the reach block, there's things that are commonly done. Most people talk about the position of the head of the defensive tackle is the most important thing. What I'm going to show you is the way most people play this block, and then I'm going to show you the way that the Baltimore Ravens play the block. And there's some subtle differences that I think will make a big difference in the way you teach, and also the way how successful your players will be at playing this. All right, so the first thing we're going to talk about is playing the reach block. Most people talk about the position of the head as the important thing for defensive tackles, but the way we talk about it, it's the position of the hips that's important. We always stress about getting our hips in the hole. But here's the way commonly that this block is played, and again, you'll see that my hips end up being behind me, and there's no way that I can make this tackle, okay? Set, hit, boom. As he's reaching, you'll notice that my head was outside, but my hips follow. So again, this is going to be the wrong way to do it. Watch the position of my head as it ends up being outside, but my hips are inside, and I can't make this tackle. Okay, set, hit, boom. Right here, my head was outside, my hips are inside, and I can't make the tackle. And for a simple way to demonstrate this, if I was going to go ahead and shed the block to make a tackle, the first thing that I would have to do is position my hips outside of the body, outside the frame of the blocker, and then shed to make the tackle. So by playing with good sound technique, by putting my hips in the hole, I'm already going to be in position to make the tackle. So here's the proper way to play that block. The first two demonstrations I gave you were the improper way, but the way that it's commonly played and commonly taught. The way that we teach it is we're going to put our hips in a hole. Okay, set, hit, boom, my hips are in a hole, I'm in position to shed and make the tackle. So you can see there's a big difference by playing that blocking pattern. Again, we'll go over it one more time. Watch, I'm not even talking about right now about the position of my hands and my headgear. Obviously, we want to hit with our hands in our face, our eyes up, and our initial aiming point is the V of the neck. But depending on the ability of your three technique or your tackle, it may be wider. Okay, so I'm not going to tell you specifically where to line up and where your target is. That's for you to decide with your player. Initially for us, we talk about aiming, the aiming point is the V of the neck. But again, your player may vary. Okay, so as we're coming in here, watch my hips, watch the way I punch here. I'll clear my hips to the outside, then I'll be able to shed and make the tackle. Okay, set, hit. I'm in position, my hips are outside. He cannot reach me if my hips are outside. If my hips are inside, he can reach me. A common thing that we talk about all the time with our defensive tackles is this: always fight the hard shoulder on the run. Always fight the soft shoulder on the pass, but when you're playing the run, you fight the hard shoulder. And in other words, where Joe is trying to reach me, this is his hard shoulder. When he's fighting me across here, I want to fight, I want to punch it, and I want to press my hip to the hole, okay? So that's how you play the reach block. The next block, if we had to talk to all defensive line coaches, all defensive line players, the hardest block to play would be the double team block. And what offenses are doing in today's game is it's a momentary double team and then right off to the backside linebacker. I don't care what front you're playing, over, under, doesn't matter. But by playing the exact same technique that you played when you're playing the reach block, you use playing the double team, then it's going to be you've already talked about putting your hips in the hole. If we told people that, hey, you know a double team's coming, the first thing you would teach is how you attack the post man, which would be the man you're shaded on. Your hips play the drive man, which would be the tackle in this picture. So what we're going to do here, I've already taught how to play that. That's the hardest thing that you can teach a defensive lineman how to play is a double team. But you've already taught it by playing good reach block technique. Because this block is no longer a true double team, it's now more of a reach block. And when the first man is going to stay on, we call him the post man. The second man's the drive man. He's taught to drive this tackle out of there, and then the guard's supposed to reach him, and he's supposed to cut off the linebacker. So by playing good technique with your hips in the hole, as this tackle, the drive man comes off, he's not able to get this guy without you not being in the hole. Okay, so your hips are always in the hole, and you play it the exact same way you play a reach block. Well, I'm going to demonstrate right now with a couple of our guys. Orlando Bobo has joined us. He's a guard for the world champion Baltimore Ravens, and obviously there's a mismatch in talent here. So I'm telling Bobo not to kill me, but you'll notice the techniques. The first technique I'm going to talk about is I'm coming off the way most people do. They just talk about coming straight up the field, and they're not talking about their players and putting their hips in the hole. So I'm attacking the post man without bringing my hips to the drive man, and I'm going to end up getting driven out about 5 yards. Okay? The next time we come back and do it, we'll work on the proper technique. So again, this is the wrong way that's commonly taught how to play this technique. Okay? Set, hit. Okay, as you can see, I'm going for a ride. Now, the first thing I did, all I tried to do was come off the ball, and I was trying to just be a one-gap penetrator right here. But as soon as Joe came down to drive me, in Orlando they came together, it comes off here, he's going to the linebacker, and Orlando's already got me reached. So I'm in trouble. Now, I'm going to make it a little tougher on them. I don't care how big and strong they are, when you play proper technique, you're in business here. Okay? Specifically, watch the position of my hips. As they come off on this double team, my hips are going to be in the hole. I'm going to try to literally take my hips and tie the legs up of this offensive tackle as I'm taking Orlando here, okay? As he comes off, when Joe climbs to the linebacker, that's when I'm going to be able to shed and make this tackle. So let's take a look at it. All right, set, hit. I'm in position here, and you'll notice now, obviously Bobo's not trying to kill me, but as he's coming off, it's a heck of a lot tougher for him to play this if my hips are already in the hole. If my hips are underneath me, he's going to reach me all day long, okay? So I'm going to attack here. This is our post man. This is our drive man. I attack the post with my hat and hands. My hips are playing the drive man. Okay, we're going to play that double team one more time. Again, Orlando's the post man. He's the guard. I'm playing a 3 technique. I don't care under defense, over defense. Joe's playing the tackle. He's the drive man. We call him the drive because Orlando's trying to reach me, and Joe's going to help him out by hitting off of me and climbing to the linebacker. Okay, so here's how it's going to look again. Okay, set, hit. Boom, I'm in position. I'm in position. Now when he goes to shed, my body, my hips are in the hole. He may widen me. Okay, I may get widened on this, but it doesn't matter. The ball is supposed to go right off of this block. They got the key block here, the double team, and that's where the ball is designed to go. And by playing good reach block technique, because this is no different than playing a reach block. A double team is no different than playing a reach block. The first time I experienced playing a double team, they threw me down to play defensive tackle in college one time, and they never told me anything about it. They're like, you know, when you feel the double team, drop to a knee. Well, I felt the double team all right, but I was about 10 yards deep. So, you know, you can't read anything. You want your guys to be aggressive. And you want to play this blocking pattern, attacking a post man, and play the drive man with your hips. But I can't worry about this tackle. The guard tells me what to do. So the reach block, as soon as he comes at me, I'm going to attack him, and I'm keeping my hips. My main responsibility in this defense would be the B gap. So I want to make sure my hips are always in the hole. Where's he going? The hard shoulder's here. I want to fight that hard shoulder with my hips in the hole. Now I'm in position. I don't care if it's a double team or it's a reach block. As soon as my target, which was Orlando, came outside to me, then I knew I'm supposed to attack him and play my hips outside. Okay, the next blocking pattern we're going to talk about is what I call a jump through. And basically a lot of people in the league call this a scoop block. But what I'm trying to teach our guys is not allow these guys to jump off on our linebackers. You can see here the ball's going away in this bottom diagram. We don't want that guard coming off on our linebacker. We want Ray Lewis chasing the football. You always hear about how the Baltimore Ravens protect Ray Lewis. Well, he's our quarterback, and the techniques that we use to protect him, we're still going to be able to play our responsibility, which would be, in this case, the B gap here, but we're not going to allow this guard a clean shot off on our linebacker. And when you're talking about alignment, we had talked about it previously, you know, how I'm not going to tell you where to line up, where your target is and things. That's your responsibility as a coach. What I'm going to say, it's an ability alignment. What ability? Number one, to not get reached when you're playing a shade. And the other part of that ability alignment would be to not allow a jump through. So if all you told your guy was your responsibility is to not get reached, hell, he's going to line up wide as he can be. He'll be lined up on a tackle. So you can't tell him that. What's the other part of that equation? Don't allow a jump through. Okay, so you can't be reached. The other key block you're going to have is you're not going to allow a jump through. So some kids can play tighter on a shade. Some people can play looser. I don't care if you play your right hand down, your left hand down, 4-point stance, all that's overrated. Okay, the way that I always talk about an illustration is this. It's like that old man you see in the park. You know what I'm talking about, the guy that's over there jerking off. It looks bad to everybody else, but feels good to him. That's the important thing about playing in a stance. It doesn't matter whether you want to play your inside hand down, outside hand down. Hey, on paper, on coaches, we will always talk about let's have our inside hand down. But do we really know why you're telling them to have the inside hand down? Okay, really the thing is that he's got two rule blocks, the reach and the jump through. So if he's going to play with his outside hand down, obviously he's going to have to tighten up a little bit. If he's going to play with his inside hand down, then he can maybe possibly loosen up a little bit. Okay, they might even play out of a 4-point stance. When I was with the Arizona Cardinals, we had an all-pro defense tackle actually played out of a 4-point stance. It might have looked bad to everybody, you know, everybody else, but it felt good to him. Okay, so remember that. Playing this block here is probably the most difficult block in football to play. And the jump through, the key guy that you got to focus on, you're not worried about where the offensive tackle is. You're worried about your guard. As soon as he steps inside, I've got to step with him. Where does the hard shoulder take place? Well, the hard shoulder's inside now. So how am I going to get to it? I got to put my hip where? In the hole. I want to attack that hard shoulder, and I want to try to stay as square to the line of scrimmage as I possibly can. The jump-through technique is what separates us from most teams in the NFL, the way our guys protect our linebacker, and we're going to go over that here in a minute. This block, again, we're going to hold the jump-through this time, but I always want to show the common way that this thing is taught and how maybe it's not the best thing for you. Okay, most people always talk about get off the football and then climb, and you're going to hit this tackle, okay, and you're going to let this guy go cut off your linebacker, and that's not how we teach it. But I want you to, if all I did was get off the football and not worry about playing this guy, you'll see how easy it is for the guard to come here and cut off our linebacker, okay? All right, here we go. Set, hit, boom. If all I do is come off here, all right, he's already got our linebacker blocked. I better make the play over here, okay? I better make the play over here. The best way to play this is how I'm going to show you now. I'm going to focus on one man. I'm focused on here. He tells me every time what my tackle's going to do. Okay? If he's stepping at me, I'm assuming the tackle's double teaming. He steps away from me, I know the tackle's coming away. I know he's coming with him. So I'm going to focus on this man and play him the entire time. What I'm going to do technique-wise, I'm going to take my inside hand and I'm going to try to shoot for the far number of Joe's jersey here, the guard's jersey. And I'm going to try to stay square as I possibly can for as long as I possibly can. We call it a step, shuffle, shuffle. I don't care if you're a guy that likes to explode off with that first step or you're a read tackle. It doesn't matter to me. You'll see both on video when we go to them. But I better, as soon as that guy goes away, my foot had better be coming with him. And again, I don't want to turn my hip. If I turn my hip this way, what shoulder did I fight? I just got through fighting the soft shoulder. Where's his hard shoulder? His hard shoulder's inside, and that's the one I got to press, and that's the one what my hip's going to press. Okay, so we'll go ahead and show you the proper way to play this thing. Okay, set, hit. Notice how flat initially as we came here. Let's just stay flat on this line so they can see. I want to stay flat. I want to go back here and I want to press my hip as flat as I can, and then I'll show you how I'm going to extend off of it, okay? Here we go, set, hit. Notice how flat I am. As I'm staying flat down here, he can't get off on my linebacker, okay? Now, what teams like to do a lot of times is they'll go quick. This guy will walk through here, and he's going to end up trying to get to that linebacker. The technique I'm going to use, we're gonna roll off of him. I'm going to press it here. When he goes to climb, I'm just going to tug. I'm going to tug his shirt. It's not a physical thing. All right, I bench about 125 on a good day, but I can get anybody to turn his shoulders. That's the important thing. So if we're just looking at it right here, we'll turn around here. The hand, as I'm looking at it right here, I'm reaching for that far number. When he goes to climb to get to the linebacker, I'm just going to sling off of him and go. Again, did I really try to grab you hard?
No.
No, so all I'm doing is just taking him and turning him, okay? All right, so as we go here, set, hit, boom. Now he climbs. That's when I sling off and go, okay? I'm still in my whole responsibility, yet I've protected Ray Lewis behind us, okay? And you'll see that on the videos. Again, it's the most important thing that separates us, I think, from everybody else in the league. And other people in the league, don't get me wrong, are doing the same thing. All right, but the techniques, you got to drill it over and over, just playing that reach block and holding this jump through, okay? All right, the two blocks that we talked about, the reach block and the jump through, those are our rule blocks. Remember, our rules were not to get reached and you can't allow a jump through. The other blocks that we're going to talk about are all reactionary blocks. What do I mean by reactionary blocks? There's really no true way of playing it. So I'm going to give you, what we do is we talk about 2 or 3 different things you can do, but we give the freedom to our defensive linemen to play it the way they want to play this block. And the first one, obviously, on a reactionary block would be a guard pull. Anytime you play a 3 technique, whether it's an over defense or an under defense, you're going to get guards pulling, okay, outside. So the ball's being designed to run here, and your 3 technique, his responsibility on this pattern. Again, he can't be wrong. It's not a rule. A rule was just a reach block and a jump through. So here we're going to give you the option. The first one we're going to talk about is getting skinny through the hole. And what I mean by that is he's going to drop his outside arm, and he literally is trying to get penetration deep in the backfield as he can. Some clinics I go to around the country, they're like, Coach, well, do you want him to follow that guard and make the tackle? Well, hell yeah, I want him to. But I'm not assuming it's going to happen. If all he does is get penetration here, that only gives the back one direction to go, and that he has to go outside. And our linebacker's going to overrun that. Okay, so as you can see, it's not a problem. Getting skinny through the hole, we'll show them here in a minute. The other one is going to be, if I know it's going to happen, I'd prefer to club it, right? I'd prefer to club it because I know the ball wants to go here. All right, and so I'm going to show you how to play that technique. Generally, when we play that technique, as you'll see on film, the offensive line has done something that's triggered that response from us. In other words, the tackle's cheated up to the line of scrimmage, the guard's deep. Okay, we know, hey, right now, we're going to smell some poop on that one. I can look and say, okay, you know, this tackle's coming down, and I'll just club across him and get my hips in the hole. All right? Remember, all offensive line coaches do that for a reason. They're trying to get an advantage on you. And as a defensive line coach, it's your job to make your guys aware of that through video or whatever that you're watching. Hey, look, every time they run this tag block with this tackle down, the guard out, you know, that tackle's closer to the line and the guard's deep. So those are little things you look for on tape. But that's the only time that we'll do it. The next one is what we call a push technique. And a push technique is you can't get skinny through the hole. The guy's got you cut off. You can't get skinny through the hole. You're too deep to club across the guy. And so all we're going to do is tell him a push technique, or literally all we're going to do is knock that offensive lineman off his track and play the blocking pattern and stay here. You'll be a secondary hitter. We'll show all 3 of those techniques right now. Okay, the first technique that we talked about was we were going to get skinny through the hole. Okay, Jeff Friday, our strength conditioning coach, is here. He's playing the guard position, and Joe is playing the tackle. I'm playing a 3 technique. All right, Jeff is going to pull outside. Joe's going to try to cut me off, okay? What I'm going to do is drop my outside arm and literally try to get Skinny through this hole, okay? So on the set hit, boom. And I've got penetration here. That's good enough, okay? If I can follow it, super, and make the tackle. But if all I do is penetrate, that linebacker is going to overscrape me, okay? Now, that was the first way. The second way is I'm going to club it. Again, offensive line coaches or even the players themselves, they're like, hey, if I tighten up and you get deeper, that's going to allow you to pull quicker, and it's also going to allow him to cut off penetration. Okay, so that's why they do that, to get an advantage of you. Well, as I'm sitting here and I'm looking at that, I can see that this is going to happen. This is going to take place. So when Joe tries to cut me off, get his head in front of me, I'm going to use his coaching against him, and I'm literally going to take my arm and club across. Again, it doesn't have to be a violent thing. You don't have to bench press 500 pounds to do it. It'd be probably more effective, but all it is the position of your body. You're going to use his teaching against him. He's taught to cut off penetration. We're going to let that happen. Okay, set, hit, boom. Again, I've read it. And that's all it is. It's just the position of my body. I don't want to get penetration. I know he's there to cut me off. I'm just going to pass him, club him. We just call it a club technique. Literally club him by me, and now my body is inside or outside, ready to make this tackle. Okay, the last one is what we use probably more than any of them, because as we're just walking through it right now, we're simulating as the pull goes, I can't get Skinny through the hole. He's done a nice job of cutting me out, and I'm too far deep to club across this guy. So all I'm going to do is we're using his coaching against him, is literally as he's driving me, boom, I'm just literally going to knock him off his track and keep my hips back. So as again, we're just going to walk through speed. Okay, set, hit, boom, I can't get Skinny, I can't club, I'm just going to push him off his track, go ahead and drive me. Drive, and I'm just going to literally knock him off his track. So as he's done his job as a tackle is to cut off my penetration. Go ahead, Joe, keep driving. And I'm literally just going to knock him off his track. Literally just push him off the track. Again, it's not a physical thing, but his body is taught to get in front of me, cut off that penetration. I use that coaching against him. I can't get Skinny through the hole. I can't club because I'm too deep in. And I'm just going to literally take my hands and push my hips back, and now I'm a secondary player. What we can't have happen on this pattern is where Joe knocks me into the backside linebacker. The next reactionary block that's commonly used is like the old counter tray play. Some type of counter where you're getting blocked down, where everybody's blocking down. And all we're going to try to do there is get Skinny through the hole. What we tell our D lineman to do, most of the time, how do you think he's going to read that? He's probably going to read that initially as what block? As a scoop block or a jump through block. And so he's probably going to be stepping down with this guy. When you see his shoulders turn, then I'm going to try to literally get Skinny through the hole and pick one of these guys off. Okay, and that's how we're going to play that block. Again, you'll see the video to demonstrate that pattern. Okay, and the most obvious reactionary block is going to be a high hat, which tells us pass, obviously. And I'm not going to get into rushing the passer, but just so you know that we talked about fighting the hard shoulder, or the hard shoulder in a running game, the soft shoulder on a pass. When I get a high hat, I want to go ahead and, as I'm attacking here, I want to fight that soft shoulder. So it'll be outside in this case to get a pass rush. But the thing that you get a lot of times is you get a lot of draws. And if you don't want to slow down your pass rush so much, just teach them a simple rule. What I always talk about for the tackles is this. When you see draw, when draw happens, when you recognize draw, I want to end up squaring back up to the line of scrimmage. So in other words, instead of having my hips outside wide, I want to fight this pressure back to the inside, square up, and play the draw that way with the tackle. The defensive ends are going to retrace on the draw. The defensive tackles, most people commonly say to retrace, but that's not true. You want those tackles to sit here and square up. So press your hip back to the inside, reduce the running lanes. All right, let's talk about the defensive ends now. Anytime you're playing an open end, you got to give this guy a couple rules. Number one, we want to spill the ball. So anytime we can, we want to spill it. And we're not telling them who to spill it off of, because it might be a pulling, you know, it might be the backside guard, it might be a fullback. We don't care who it is. But anytime this guy blocks down, you want this guy to spill this. And most people, when they talk about spilling things, they always talk about throwing that outside shoulder and getting underneath this blocking pattern. We don't do that. What we try to do is we're going to end up, our responsibility is underneath this block, but we never like to trade one for one. Okay, one of our defensive players is worth a lot more than one of the offensive players. So what we try to do is we'll come underneath this, but I'm going to get north and make this ball have to really bounce out there and go deep, which will end up being a hit for a loss. So as the block comes at me, I'm going to try to get underneath him, but I want to square back up and get as north as I possibly can, making the ball disappear on top of me. Now, Joe is the tackle in this case. I'm playing the right defensive end, okay, as we showed on the diagram. I'm not telling you where to play your guy. Generally, we'll play him about 1.5 yards wide, and I'm keying off of the hip of my tackle. As soon as he steps down inside, I'm going to pick up. My eyes are going to see the next blocker that shows, whether he's the guard, whether he's a fullback, whoever the heck he is, that's going to be my next read. So what we're going to do is, we talked about spilling the next block that shows, okay? Now Joe is going to play the backside guard here, okay? So we've already simulated that the tackle's blocked down. The tackle blocks down, here comes the guard. Most people do this. They take their outside arm and they get underneath this guard. And now what's he do? He caves you back to the inside, okay? So that's trading one for one. We don't want to do that. So the difference is I'm going to come in here. I'm going to use the same footwork, but I'm going to press back up north. You see the difference? Now that ball has to go deep, and that ends up being hits for losses. Okay, so we're not trading one for one. We want to stay alive here. I want to two-gap this guy if I possibly can. Okay, set, hit, down block here. I'm going to boom, hit, and two-gap. That ball that went inside, I just fall in and make the tackle. Okay, if the ball goes outside, I'm trying to get him up the field north, and I literally can make this thing disappear deep. The other thing is, if the ball declares early, and I'm coming down in this two-gap mode, I can actually literally stay out here. Okay, so that's why use your hands. Don't throw your arm, which trades one for one. Two-gap this guy. The ball's inside, I can get off him, make the tackle. If the ball declares outside early, I can actually make that play. Okay, so the difference is you want to two-gap this guy. Your main responsibility is inside, but I want to two-gap the next block. Okay, again, we'll show it one more time. Okay, set, hit, here he comes. Boom, two-gap this block. My eyes now can see where the ball, whether it declares inside or over the top of me. As you saw, that was when we had flow coming at you with the tackle blocking down. The thing that's impossible to read for that defensive end initially is the flow distinguishing between a down block and a cutoff block. So what you got to have is anytime you got a flow to rule, which is what we just gave you. Flow away rule means when all the action is going this direction, you got to have responsibility back here. Jason Taylor's a great player for the Miami Dolphins, but when he played in a playoff game against the Raiders, what happened to Jason? Jason made a great play. He came back, played the cutback, made a great play. They ran a naked boot by the quarterback. He made a great play. The next play, he thought it was a reverse, and he let the dive come back for about 50-some yards. So you've got to give them rules. The rules that we're giving our guys is we're going to play the wind back run first. We're going to play the wind back run first, quarterback second, reverse third. And it has to be in that order. So you got wind back run, quarterback, and then reverse. And it has to be played in that exact order, or it's not going to work. The guy can't be playing a quarterback and they run the wind back run on you. Okay, that has to be priority number one. He can't be going deepest the deepest back when they're running the wind back run back there, because you're going to have this linebacker back here flowing. You can't have this guy chasing up the field. That ball's going to end up coming back here for a touchdown. So you've got to give them rules, and there's specific ways to play this. Again, wind back run. Don't be in a hurry. Stay square to the line of scrimmage. As you're coming down here, stay square. You'll play that wind back run. You'll know when he has it. When he doesn't have it, now you go to quarterback, and then you go to the reverse. And those are your options, and I'm going to show you how to play those right now. Again, I'm playing the right defensive end in a over defense. Joe's playing the tackle. I can't see the difference between a down block realistically and a cutoff. So what we're going to simulate is always flow going away from me. Okay, so go ahead, Joe. Flow goes away. What do I want to get? I don't want to get high, you know, as deep as the deepest back. What I'm trying to do is cut off Joe's hip, stay square, and my eyes are on that wind back run. If I get it, I just come and make the tackle without it having somebody block me. If I don't get it, I keep going. Now I'm going to play the quarterback, and now I'm going to play the reverse. And you'll see that on the tape. Again, let's show them how the footwork's going to look. I'm coming off here. Okay, set, hit, boom, wind back run, quarterback, reverse. I rather go slow than quick. Okay, I don't want to turn my shoulders also and chase. Go ahead, Joe. If all I'm doing is chasing a wind back run, now I can't play the quarterback or the reverse, so I can't play that technique. I'm not going to turn my shoulders. Okay? Again, I want to stay square. My hip is trying to get to the hip of Joe. So the tackle goes down, boom, my hip is coming down here, and I'm going to close this wind back run. Make the layup. The ball's coming to me. Make the layup, make the tackle. Okay? Then I go to quarterback, and then I play the reverse. The next thing that we're going to get for the defensive end is if they just turn out and fan the defensive end, okay? I don't want to get too far up the field here. I want to squeeze back in because I know the ball is going to be run underneath me. So in other words, they're running a weak side isolation play. They're going to try to run the ball here. I want to squeeze that hole in as much as I possibly can. The technique that we use on that, first of all, I'm just going to drive him back in there. Where's my hard shoulder? Well, the hard shoulder is on the inside. So I'm going to squeeze that thing, reduce that hole as much as I possibly can. You'll see that on video. I'll go through the technique right now. Also, the second thing that we're going to do is show you the exact same pattern, but we're going to do it if they were running lead draw to the open side here. And the difference would be the tackle is going to show you a high hat, but he's going to try to bend me up the field. And what now I'm going to do, he's trying to collision me and get me to go up the field by giving me a high hat initially. But when I see him short set and he tries to bend me, I actually try to bend him and come back to the inside. I'm going to show those two things right now. Okay, the first block we talked about was a fan, a simple fan block. All Joe's going to do with a tackle, he's turning out on me, and now I don't want to just stay outside. I want to reduce this hole, so I'm going to try to fight back inside and not get washed out of here. Okay, set, hit, boom. I'm right in here, and notice how I want to sit back and reduce this hole as much as I possibly can. I don't want to get here. If I take the easy way, he's going to turn me out, and that's going to make this hole bigger. So I want to fight it. As soon as he fans out on me, I turn back on him. Okay, I don't care what foot down, whatever. All right, set, hit, boom. I'm right in here, and I want to reduce this hole as much as I possibly can. Okay, the hard shoulder is inside of me, and I want to take him and press my hip back into him. Okay, the next blocking pattern we talked about was running the same play, but they're going to try to bend me. So Joe's going to give me a high hat. As he's going a high hat up the field, he's showing me pass. Well, I'm initially going to think, hey, I got a pass charge here, but I'm going to see that he's shallow, and he's going to turn and try to bend me and get me to go back up the field here. Okay, when I see that, I'm coming here and I see that high hat, boom, I'm literally going to try to bend him and stay back to the inside. When I recognize it, he's trying to bend me, I'm going to fight back, reduce this hole. Okay, set here, there's pass, whoa, it's bim, I got to fight back to the inside and reduce this hole. Okay, and you'll see that on video. When playing a 7 technique, everybody asks me, Rex, how do you play a 7 technique? It's like the hardest thing. What they're trying to do, people are trying to steal 2 different schemes and tie it into one. The old 6-1 defense, remember this end played a lot tighter. His responsibility was always to step to the tight end with his foot and his hand, step to the tight end, but his eyes were playing this tackle. Even though you're playing a 7 technique, this guy's key is going to be this tackle. He's going to tell you every time what the play is going to be. Okay? The thing that we do is we play our ends a little wider than most teams. We don't really play a true 7 technique. What we do is we take an eyeball shade. We take our outside eye and put it on the inside eye of that tight end. And the reason we do that, the only block that you're going to get of any significance to the back side where you don't want this guy wider is when the flow's going away from you. And all we have to do on that pattern is press our hip and shuffle down the line of scrimmage. Okay? And we think that it's much better and much easier to play wider on that tight end than it is to play a true 7, which would be inside shoulder. Okay, that gives this guy the angle on every blocking pattern. So we play our guys a little wider, as you can tell on video. The other thing that we're going to have is you're going to see that the flow away block we talked about. The other thing is who's responsible for the bootleg. So if you're getting this action here, he's going to slam us back to the inside and go for a bootleg. Okay, that's still our responsibility. So what we have to do is notice the difference between, the toughest thing that you have is noticing the difference between a bootleg and a cutoff block. And the difference is quite simple. First of all, when he's trying to cut you off and the ball's being run this direction, okay, he's going to try to put his head in front of us. He's going to go flat on that line of scrimmage, and his head is trying to get in front of us. You'll see the difference of his tempo than it is on a bootleg. These guys are just, all they want to be is wide receivers, but they're too big. So they make them tight ends. And what he's going to do on a bootleg generally is he's not going to come off quite as hard and try to have that head in front of us. His head has to be behind us. So you'll be able to feel that. We teach our guys that. And as we're stepping down, now get back up here for the bootleg pass. You'll see those two things on video. I'm going to go ahead and demonstrate them as well. Okay, again, you'll see that I've taken a wider alignment than most teams do. Most teams play the 7 technique right here, and they're looking for penetration. You'll see when we go over these other blocking patterns where that can really be tough for this defensive end to play. We prefer to play ours wider. The hardest thing that we face is when the flow goes away from us. So you got to work this constantly if you're going to play your defensive end this wide. Again, I don't care inside hand down, outside hand down, it doesn't matter. Give him his responsibility. His responsibility is the C gap, and so we're going to end up playing it. Okay? You might, most of the time, you have some guys that like to just play read in this. Okay, a read stance where they actually play wider. Again, the ball's going to be over here, and again, I'm not trying to be violent and knock him back. I'd love that, but if it doesn't happen, I want to press my hip to the inside, always keep working, step, shuffle, and shuffle here, and then release and go. Okay, but I've got to carry this thing as long as I possibly can to protect the cutback run. Okay, so we'll just kind of glance through it. Set, hit, boom, I'm right here, I'm shuffling, and I'm taking it all the way down. Okay, all the way down with it. The thing's going to go wide, we're going to go with it. We got to be patient when you play the cutback. You don't want to be in a hurry to turn here because he can now do what? He can log you back down, okay? If I can run, if I turn this way, he can log. And plus, anytime I turn my shoulders, I now can no longer play the bootleg, okay? So this time it's going to be, you'll see the difference before. Watch the head position. We'll just do it for a couple steps, Joe. The head position that he's trying to get, show him the head position you're trying to get, Joe. Okay, he's trying to literally cut me off, get his head in front of me. On a bootleg, you'll see that his head is actually going to be, it's kind of a half-ass block, and it's to the hip. He's going to push with his hands to try to get me inside with the quarterback rolling on top. So let's show him one more time on when the flow's going away. The big thing is watch my hips. Don't worry about anything else. Watch my hips. Set, hit, boom, and back to the inside. I'm shuffling all the way down. My hips, notice how my hips are literally turned. I'm fighting this thing off. Then I'll shed and make the tackle when it comes to me. Hips are always in the hole. My responsibility is the C gap. That means my hips are in the C gap. Okay, now it's going to be bootleg pass. Okay, set, hit, boom. Now he's going to push and come off. Notice if I'm square here, I can now plant and come off and make a play on the quarterback. If my shoulders would turn, now I can no longer make the play on a bootleg, okay? So let's show how a lot of people do this thing, and this is the wrong way to do it, okay? Set, hit. Whoa. Now that quarterback's booting with the ball, they got two options. Whether they throw the ball or he can run it, okay? Again, I'm only giving you one option, okay? Set, hit. I'm staying square. Now I'm able to come back to the quarterback. Saw the most difficult thing to play when you play with your defensive end wide in that 7 technique. And again, it's really not that tough to teach. Okay, the main thing was to press the hips in the hole. He's trying to cut you off inside. Your tackle has gone away from you. You want to stay square as long as you possibly can. You don't want to turn your shoulders. That was the key. Over here, you'll see the huge advantage of playing your defensive end wider. Okay, and the big thing is people are running these combinations off on these 7 techniques all day long. And it's really just a double team block. But the difference is I rather have our defensive end get a mismatch on a tight end. So as he's coming off here, I want to just fight this tight end. I want this tackle to have to disappear inside. I do not want to get double teamed here. So if I play a real 7 technique, you have to play the double team. There's no question, because you have to play it inside shoulder. The wider you play, the better it is about knocking this guy back and playing your hips on him and just playing one man. Ignore that tackle on the double team. So just try to whip that tight end as long as you possibly can. You know, maintain him. Don't let him to come off. If he comes off, you got to make that tackle. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and show how we play that technique. Okay, again, we're talking about playing a 7 technique. If we were going to play this wider, you can tell right now, look at the angle you have, Joe. You feel like you can make this block here pretty easy. On the combination, it's really be tough to play that pattern. So by playing a wider technique, now it's more of a true one-on-one here. So when Joe tries to reach me, as he's going, I'm trying to reach him. I'm trying to knock him back, and I'm playing him. The tackle's going to come with me. Every offense in the country now designs where they can get that momentary double team on this guy and end up actually literally taking Joe to the linebacker and the tackle trying to reach me. Okay, so what we end up doing is just the opposite. We take that reach off of it. I'm going to play this tight end and play the tight end only. So again, as I'm playing wide here, set hit, boom, and now it's just one-on-one. Now it's me versus this tight end. I don't worry about this tackle. The tackle now has to climb to the linebacker, and the linebacker's always taught never to get reached. All right, now let's take a look at the clips with us on defense, and you'll see those techniques that we were talking about. Now, I want to focus on number 98 and 95 here, our defensive tackles. All right, first of all, as you can see, 95 is big balling away. We're actually on a half stunt, which takes the guy into the guard. Now, when we do this, we never really talked about this technique, but when we do this technique, we're stepping into the guard. We're basically making the guard the post man and the center the drive man. So when you see him stepping out there, that's why we're doing it. It's really played no differently than playing a double team. It's just actually backwards of how we taught it. We're making this guy the post and the center the drive. The tough part about that is when flow goes away, he's got to be able to pad off on this guard to make the play on the backside here. As you can see, he does. Notice how he's pressing his hips into the hole here. He's going to make the play down the line of scrimmage. Okay, Tony Saragusa is getting the reach block, number 98. Okay, he's a little thick on this guard. He actually gets helped out by the center blocking him. But we want to put our hips in the hole, knock him back. Anytime we get color coming through the hole, you go ahead and take it. Okay, and that's a good look at that here. All right, this next play, we're going to focus on number 91. He's going to get a reach block, and then we're going to focus on 99 as well. 99 is playing a 7 technique. You can see how wide Michael McCrary is here. Here's that block that we were talking about before, that combination block off of the defensive end where the tight end and the tackle are responsible for the defensive end and the linebacker. You notice how Michael is staying real heavy on the tight end here, and that makes the tackle have to come off. Lionel Dalton, 91, is doing a great job playing the reach block. Look where his hips are. Hips are in the hole. Now he's ready to make the tackle. Okay, now you just got to make the tackle, though. All right, on this play, we're going to look at 98, 95, and 93. These are the main guys I want you to focus on. Okay, here's that half technique I was talking about with 98, Tony Saragusa. So he's actually stepping into the guard instead of playing heavy on the center. It's a change-up technique that we use, but we're also padding off. You know, we're still an A-gap player, so our hips have got to be in the hole. You'll notice how, as the play runs, we got to fight back. The toughest thing you can do when flow goes away from that half technique is you got to press that hip inside, and the hip's the important thing, okay? Not the position of the head, the hips. Okay, you'll notice 95, Sam Adams is getting a reach block. See how he pushes his hips back to the outside to play that reach. Okay, the ball declares inside. And a great look at 93 here is Keith Washington. And he could have been more violent here, but we're responsible for wind back run, the quarterback to reverse. We got to disregard any wideout that comes in here. He should shed this thing a little quicker, but he's looking for the wind back run. Here it comes. It ends up bouncing up the field. He's able to make the tackle. Okay, on this play, let's watch the tackles again. Okay, now Lionel Dalton, this is not an overreach. He really should have played to the outside of it. But you're going to see by playing good technique on the nose by Saragusa, 98, see how he holds that jump through. He's staying heavy on that center. He's going to hold that jump through, not allow the guy to block our linebacker. Okay, it's he's working, stay square, down the line of scrimmage. You know, people call it, well, you're tackling the center. Well, we're really not. Okay, we're just got to get his shoulders turned where he can't get a free shot on our linebacker here, and that allows the linebacker to run downhill. Don't ask me what Lionel Dalton's doing here. Okay, he told me he got overreached here. He really didn't, but if it happens quick enough, that linebacker you know is going to disappear. But find a football. Don't be standing there. Okay, now here's an excellent example of what we talked about playing the draw. Okay, remember we want to square up with our tackles on the draw, and we want to retrace with our defensive ends. Okay, and you'll notice here a great example of what we're talking about. Now Tony ends up tripping over this guy's ankle, gets flattened here, but you'll see Lionel Dalton, he's attacking this thing, 91, is up here. Look how he's squaring up on the draw. So we see the draw now. You square back up, press your hip to the inside, which is what Lionel's doing here. Just got to make the tackle. 99 does a great job of retracing here. Okay, the defensive end's up the field. Now retrace your steps, get back in on it. Okay, and that's a good shot of how to play the draw. Okay, a super play here, reactionary block, what we talked about. Number 91, Lionel Dalton, one of our defensive tackles. Okay, he gets a club across. We're running a counter here. He sees the guy stepping back, and obviously there was a guy he must have been pointing inside that told Lionel to go ahead and club this. Boom, he gets his hips in the hole. He's in great position now to take on the next color. The only thing that we got to do now is that running back's not going to block us up high. He's going to come down low. He's in great position. Just go ahead and pad off on him and make the play. But really, great position by Lionel. All right, let's focus on 95 here, Sam Adams. All right, this is a technique, again, what we talked about, that half technique. Anytime you're shaded and you want to change the double team, you're anticipating a double team block here, he can go ahead and half this. So he's actually going to half it into the tackle, making him the post man and the guard the drive man. He sheds them. This is why we want the ball. He should have stayed inside here a little more. You can't be in a hurry here. He should have just kept his feet going, staying in that hole. Okay, we want the ball to actually bounce out wide. All right, now here's a clinic tape right here, how you play defensive tackle. All right, number one, you're going to get Saragusa, 98, is going to hold the jump through off on a linebacker, okay? So he's going to be concentrating here. Let's watch that. See how he holds that guard. He's not allowing that guard off on that linebacker, and yet he's still maintaining his B-gap responsibility. Okay, a super job there. Now, you look at 79 on the nose here, Larry Webster. He's fighting that double team. Notice he's taking the post man on. His hips are playing the drive man, which is the guard here. He's throwing his hips into him. He keeps his feet moving. Obviously, there's nobody that is blocking a linebacker yet. Okay, you see how we got it held up here? We got the double team held up. We're working our feet, and it's fun to play linebacker for us. All right, on this particular case, 91 is half this. In other words, he's taking his attack to the guard, which is going to make him the post man, make the center the drive man. It's still a double team technique. Okay, Sam is going to hold the jump through. 95 here, doing a decent job of it. Got to keep our feet moving, keep our feet moving. And what happened with Lionel is he gets a little wide here. He needs to keep those hips inside on that center. When he comes off, he can make the tackle. All right, let's focus on 95 and 90 here. Okay, again, here's that half charge into the guard. Look at the position of Sam's hips here. He posts the guy. He can't get cut off with his hips in the hole here. Now he's able to come on back. He forces the ball carrier to cut it back, and we're in great shape because nobody's going to block Ray Lewis. It's a good guy to have unblocked. Okay, over here, Rob Burnett's doing a super job. We talked about this, playing this Ed technique. As flow goes away, you want to spill everything, right? So that we don't care if it's a tight end, a running back, a guard, it doesn't matter. We want the ball to bounce. He's doing a great job of digging this out. Notice how he's not trading one for one here. Okay, he's underneath it like we talked about, and now he's able to fall back. Okay, he's in great position. Remember, when we talked about this, most teams throw that outside arm, and they give themselves up. They trade one for one. Here, you can clearly see where Rob Burnett is getting up the field. He's got good position with his hands. He's able to fall back inside or outside. All right, now our focus is going to be on number 98 on the nose here. He's getting reached. All right, what Tony needs to do is start really pressing that hip. You'll notice how initially he gets in trouble because his hips are behind. I put this play up here so you can see that sometimes you don't play with technique, you can give yourself a problem here. All right, he's got a problem. He's got to really work his tail off to get his hips back to where they belong. Okay, he takes a false step. His hips are actually behind him right now. We're in trouble here. There's a chance for it to be in trouble here. Okay, you'll notice number 90. He's looking for wind back run, quarterback, and then reverse, and that's a shot of it right there. All right, now on this one here, I want you to watch number 79 on the nose here. Okay, great technique. Now, all this became, and we talked about this block, we demonstrated off a 3 technique, but here's a shade on the center. It's no different. A lot of times these teams now are pulling these centers, blocking down and pulling centers. Okay, we talked about how you can get skinny through the hole. It's a reactionary block. You can get skinny through the hole. You can club across this, or you can push your way through it. In other words, the guy cuts your penetration off. You can't get skinny through it, and you're actually probably too thick in there to club across it. So let's watch what Larry Webster does here. Okay, there's your push technique. All right, he can't get skinny through the hole. All right, he's getting cut off here. He can't club across it. He's too far in. All he's going to do is knock this guy off his track, knock this guard off his track, and he clears with the hips and gets a piece of the tackle. He won't be the primary tackler, but you'll be the secondary. But it's really a super job here of showing how to work that push technique. Notice how he's pushing his hips back. In position, boom, throws his hips back, knocks that guard off his track. Okay, on this one, we're going to watch 91 and 99 here. So the right side of the defensive line here, be a good picture. Now, notice how we've run the half technique here, but notice how Lionel 91 has made the guard the post man and the center the drive man. So he's attacking the guard, and his hips are going to play the center now. Okay, keep working the feet. He's tied up. Realistically here, he's almost tied up 3 blockers. Okay, definitely got the 2 on him. They can't come off on the linebacker. Now, here's a great example of that BIM block that we were talking about earlier. Baselli here, the left tackle for Jacksonville, is going to try to BIM McCrary up the field. Okay, instead of that, McCrary holds off on Baselli. He's going to try to BIM Baselli and now throw back in and get a piece of the tackle. Okay, really an excellent diagram or video of what we were talking about, how to play that BIM. You know, it would do us no good if all McCrary did was get straight up the field here. If he got up the field, that's going to make this hole much wider for the linebackers to fill. You'll notice how he is. He's keeping it tight. He actually gets a piece of the tackle. All right, now this is against the Denver Broncos. I'll start it from the beginning here. Okay. Let's focus now on, you'll see how Larry Webster, 79, when we got flow away, and he's actually playing it almost too tight here. But we want to stay as square to the line of scrimmage as we possibly can. This is that jump-through technique we talked about. Okay? He's staying square as he can. He's got to fight back. He actually gets over a little too far here, but we got to work our way back here. Okay? He's in good position. You'll see how really emphasizing fighting the hard shoulder, which is inside. Okay, this is also an excellent example of how to play the 7 technique. All right, now with the backfield set, Rob Burnett has cheated his alignment a little more inside here. And the reason we do that, the backfield set, the tendency was to run to the open side, so obviously he's going to cheat that. But you'll notice how square he stays. He's pressing his hip. Now he's able to fall back. His responsibility is the C gap. He's able to fall back inside. But if the ball does declare outside, he's able to also come off it and play a little outside. So he's in perfect control here, number 90. On this one here, you're going to see 95 and 90. All right, 95 is an unusual guy here. He's a beast. There's no question. He's on a half technique. He sees the guard pointing down to the inside. Okay, the only thing is this guard is thinking he's going to knock Sam out of here. They're running a counter. You can see what happens here. Super technique. Look at the leverage he's got. Head's underneath the guard. Arms are extended. Hips are in the hole, and he's just raising cane through here. Again, on all counters, we're trying to pick off one guy. As you can tell, obviously, Sam disrupts the play, makes a little personal thing with the fullback here. Okay, but he's totally obliterated this play by one man's action. We'll always trade 2 for 1. We'll never trade 1 for 1. He takes out 2 blockers. 1, 2. Now the back's got nowhere to run. He has to work back to the inside. Now, number 90 here is doing a super job also. Flow's coming away. He's not throwing that outside arm. He's not trading 1 for 1. He wants to get underneath and knock this guy back and be able to 2-gap this. Okay? You can see where here he's squaring back up where he can play either up the field or underneath. Obviously, it declared early to him where he could play more underneath with Sam knocking out all the interference, so it's easier for him to come off and probably get a piece of the tackle, which he does. Okay, this is just a bim. Let's just focus on 99 here, and the guy's going to try to bim him or influence him up the field here. Okay, actually it's just almost a fan, but see how he's attacking the hard shoulder. The hard shoulder, McCrary here, 99, treats it like a bim block. Okay, see how McCrary bims the tackle instead of getting bimmed by the offensive tackle. He's actually working underneath that arm, fighting back to the inside. He's going to be a factor on this tackle. Okay, so let's just watch Michael. This is that blocking pattern we talked about. Okay, running lead draw to the open side. He steps up, boom, I'll bim you. The hard shoulder's inside. Okay, again, I can't stress enough the importance of don't just get straight up the field on these blocks. You know, you get up the field, that's going to be more stress for the linebackers. So you gotta stay flat, fight the pressure. All right, here's 95, just, again, an unusual guy, first-team Pro Bowl guy. As you can see coming in here and just raising cane. Getting off the football. He beats the guard out. They're trying to do an unusual blocking pattern to the inside here. Just obviously doesn't work. Okay, good job by Sam just rolling his hips through. All right, here we go. 91 and 98, this will be the last play that we talk about. All right, 98's going to fight the double team. Okay, excuse me, the reach block. What? He gets himself in trouble because he's trying to do too much. Just play your responsibility and understand that 52 is behind you. Okay, Ray Lewis is behind you. Now he puts a bind on himself. He's now trying to get back outside and make that play where he should have. He ought to be here. He was in perfect position initially. By stepping here, his hips were in good position. All he has to do is press this guy, press his hips to the outside, stay in that hole. That running back's going to come right back inside. He's got no choice, and Ray Lewis is going to meet him for no gain. But instead, Tony ends up deciding to do too much on the cutback. He thought the kid was cutting back. He stays inside. Now we have 2 Ravens inside, and that's not good. Chance to give up a big play. And, you know, fortunately for us, we have Ray Lewis comes in there and fills that window. Now, on Lionel Dalton here, he's holding the jump through. You can see right now he's in a pretty good position. What Lionel needs to do here, I put this tape on, this play on, because he needs to just press his hip more and stay square to the line of scrimmage than he's doing. Okay, you see how he gets turned. If he would have just stayed square just a little bit longer, that's going to free Ray up and they're not going to be able to touch him. All right, good results anyway. Well, I want to thank you for watching this video. I want to thank Joe Douglas from our scouting department as well. He's been a big help. If you need any information, any further information, you can contact me through the Baltimore Ravens, and if I have time, I'll be glad to help you. Thank you.